This is Let's Write a Song. Welcome back. I'm your host, Andy Cole, coming to you from Treaty 1 territory, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. This is a show where we talk to cool people and then we write a song together. You hear the whole thing happen. It usually goes down in that order. They come over, we talk, and then the mics go off and we write a song, and then you hear what's done. Usually it happens in that order, but this week, this whole episode happened out of order. So the way I try to run things around here, I'm pretty deliberate and careful about putting all of this show together. Maybe I'll give you a peek in. I know someone's coming over for the interview, for the show. I get things ready. I want them to feel comfortable. I try to make the space inviting. It's here in my apartment, fairly neutral space. I don't have a lot of artwork on the walls. There's a lot of musical instruments around because I play them, but also, hey, inspiration. There's a lot of plants in here. I get nice natural lights. Sometimes I get candles going because those are comforting to look at. I do my best to set the stage and the space for good conversation and creativity. We have the interview, then we sit down and we make the song. For this episode, I had none of that stuff prepared. Our guest this week is Ava Glendinning. Ava's a dear friend. We've known each other for many years. We've been in bands together. We've replaced each other somewhat in other bands in a few instances. This all gets laid out in the interview in a pretty granular way. She's a fantastic guitar player. She has a lot of musical projects on the go, and she's a very good songwriter. Ava was over. We were hanging out. I had GarageBand open because I was working on, I think, an episode of this show. I remember it because it was the day the first episode of this season aired. And we started messing around with the virtual instruments in GarageBand. Ava made a beat, and she looped it, and then just threw down some synth chords and looped that. And at that point, I said, you know, this is pretty much just like an episode of my show. Can I record it? And she was up for it. So I got the recorder out. We made the song first, and then I set up everything for the interview. So a little bit of the process of us making the song is missing. The very beginning where we were just messing around with beats and stuff because it wasn't done with doing an episode of the show in mind. But a really awesome song came out of it and a fun interview where you'll learn how intertwined and tangled a local music scene can get. And the importance also of letting your kids be creative. We get into that, helping kids find an outlet for their creativity and realizing that the ability to make things out of your imagination is special. And you might just have the talent to communicate those imaginary ideas to other people, to manifest them in either, writing or, say, a song. So here's this week's interview and this week's song with our guest, Ava Glendinning.
I don't think that song would have happened if I had known going into it that I was writing a song that would be released on a podcast. I was just playing around with some slightly cheesy sounding chords.
It was great though. It was very nice. It was a positive sounding song.
Maybe that's the only way to get like the true music that's inside you to come out.
Is to just start putting it out without any idea that you're going to have to turn it into something?
Yeah, exactly. I think I always try and write music with either with an audience in mind or with an idea of like, well, the song has to be cool or it has to be sophisticated or something. There's something like that I'm trying to get across. When
you're writing with an audience in mind, like, do you mean like how are people in general going to react, or like what kind of people you want the song to appeal to?
I guess a little bit of both. If I'm writing for my band Bicycle Face, I guess I kind of feel like I want it to mesh a little bit with kind of the vibe of our other songs, keep a little bit consistent. And I guess that's what I usually write.
You've got an aesthetic to keep up.
Exactly, yeah. Kind of a ridiculous aesthetic, but
it works.
But still, yeah.
People like it. People like the music. Everybody check out Bicycle Face.
Oh, thank you.
And then you're involved. I mean, that's your band. That's, I think, the longest one you've been in. It's sort of an intermittent kind of thing right now.
Yes, we've been on a bit of a hiatus for a couple of years.
And it's because you're geographically not anywhere near each other.
Yeah, my bandmate Teresa is in New York State right now and has been for a couple of years.
And so you've got other bands filling in your time now.
Yes.
You've got, as the working musician thing goes, you've got like a ton of projects.
Yeah, I got myself involved in a bunch of projects this summer. I kind of just came back to Winnipeg from Brandon where I was studying and tried to join all my friends' bands and succeeded.
Well, we've been in bands together before.
Yeah. We
also are in. People should know this. This is how music scenes work. So I asked you to join this years ago.
Yeah.
And I asked you to join my old band Eagle Lake Owls.
Actually, yeah, and I think Nathan asked me to join.
Right.
And the way he asked me, he called me one day and he goes, Ava, do you play piano? And I was like, no, I don't play piano. Or maybe he asked me the band instruments first. Then he was like, oh, do you play any band instruments? Do you play like a horn?
Right.
And I said, no, I'm a guitar player. I only play guitar.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're not telling me what I want to hear. And he was like,
that's very much Nathan.
Do you want to join the band anyway? And I said, sure.
Yeah.
And then I told Teresa about this, and she was like, I play both those I play piano and trumpet. I play the two instruments he was looking for. So she joined the band too.
Yeah. So you and Teresa are Bicycle Face.
Yes.
Bicycle Face basically joined Eagle Lake Owls, which was my band that was going with me and Nathan, and Aaron was our drummer. And I was also playing at the time with our friend Domo, with Dominique's band A La Mode. And I'd been in that band for a long time. I was playing guitar, and then I was moving away. I went away for a year, and Domo was really worried about finding another guitar player. And I said, well, Ava's out of a band because I'm moving, so you took over guitar duties in A La Mode.
Yeah. That really eased the sadness a bit of Eagle Lake Owls.
Yeah. And
I still play some of the parts you wrote.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, it's always fun to like be at a show and be like, I know it's coming next, but then you'll add your style to it sometimes. And I'm like, okay.
There's actually one or two songs or parts of songs where I can't remember if you wrote it or I wrote it.
If it's super technical and very, if it's very technically advanced, then you definitely wrote it.
Yeah, there's some that could be either.
If it at all is challenging to play, you wrote it. My lines are very dumb. But, so, and to tie this together, so you now play with A La Mode, which was the band I was in. I moved back and I got asked to go on a tour as a guitarist for the band Hearing Trees, which was a band you used to play in.
Yeah.
And I had to learn some of your old lines. And now I play with them, and we're, as A La Mode is, like writing new stuff, and I'm bringing my style to it. But this is all mixing together. Now, I've started my new band, which is you and me and Nathan from Eagle Lake Owls. And the three of us, and Gage and Kerrigan Solnikowski. The twins.
The twins.
Yes. Now, so Great Wealth is me and Nathan, and then Ava, Kerrigan, Gage. A La Mode is now Dominique, Ava, Kerrigan, Gage. It's all like my world is our worlds are closing in tighter and tighter and tighter. And I don't know if people know that, like, yeah, music scenes just kind of work like this. This is not a weird thing. It's just like, it's how it works.
So overlapping. And you'd think those two bands might end up sounding a bit alike, having three of the same people in them. But they don't really.
They're very different,
so
actually.
Different.
Yeah. And you've got all these other projects, too. You are in what other bands?
Yeah, I'm in a couple of other ones. I'm in a band called RoboJam.
I love that name. We've had Joel, who founded RoboJam, has been on this show as well.
Oh, yeah.
We did a really nice song with him.
Yeah, that's a really cool, fun band. They asked me to play synthesizer in that band because they had maybe tried out a few different keyboard players and finally decided they wanted someone to play synthesizer who did not have any piano skills.
Okay.
Who couldn't play keyboard. So they asked me, and I said that sounded fun, and they were like, you can literally just like hold a note and turn some knobs and make some weird noises if you
just
want.
Envelope, filter, all that stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. I want to dress up in a crazy robot costume and and play the synthesizer.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, trying to learn a new instrument.
Yeah.
Which, as it turns out, it's a little bit challenging.
What is that synth you bought? You bought like the really fun, crazy looking synth.
Yeah, I bought the Arturia Micro Freak.
Yeah.
Which doesn't even have a real keyboard, but who cares? Because I don't know how to play keyboard anyway.
Yeah.
It's got like
it's not like pressure sensitive or whatever.
Yeah, it's just drawn on. And
it's like the guy with the drawn on 6-pack muscles or whatever. It's the same. Exactly. Yeah, it's the exact same
you go to
idea.
feel it, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I can see that being, actually like a really weird, like the same way like when you know how to play guitar and then you play Guitar Hero.
I hate Guitar Hero.
I know,
I'm
because
so bad at it.
Because you're like, everyone's like, oh, you'll be good. Oh, you play guitar. You're like, no, because I want to be doing the thing that I hear them doing.
Yeah.
And it's not. I have to forget that this is a guitar.
Buttons.
Yeah. This is just buttons. Speaking of like learning an instrument when you're young, you're one of the, is it coaches for the Girls Rock Camp?
Yeah. I'm on the board for Girls Rock Winnipeg. We had our second camp this summer.
Do you want to explain what that is too, so people get the idea of how cool this thing is?
Yeah. So Girls Rock Winnipeg is the organization that puts on our Girls Rock Camp, which is part of a bigger movement. There are tons of Girls Rock camps all over North America and even a few in the rest of the world too. So it's been going for a while, and it basically, the idea is to empower girls and also gender non-conforming youth, so trans or non-binary, to be able to make music and learn about feminism and have a voice and build community, basically just create a great safe environment for these kids to learn how to play music and show them the things that music can help them do and the things that they can access with that.
And the camp they generally run like a week long?
Yes, ours are a week long so far. It's pretty new for Winnipeg still. But some of the other camps that have been going for a while will do 2 weeks. They'll do different age groups. And we just started last winter. We added an adult rock camp, which is a weekend in February.
Yeah.
Actually, we're just about to open registrations for that. This probably won't come out. Probably shouldn't promote that. I don't know when
you
this
can
will
mention
come
it.
out,
Yeah, it's contemporaneous right now. We'll see when this episode comes out.
Yeah, and so in late October, early November of this year, we'll be taking registrations for Adult Rock Camp, which is like the funnest fundraiser I've ever been part of.
Yeah. Is that one a week long?
It's just a weekend. So you start on Friday afternoon at 4. You do like 6 hours on Friday and then like a full maybe 10 or even 12-hour day on Saturday, and then you have a shorter day Sunday and a performance Sunday night. So in that time you learn an instrument. This is in one weekend, and most of these adults will have had no experience on their instrument before, and they will form a band together and write a song and perform it on Sunday night.
Wow.
And last year I was a guitar teacher and coach for that, and it's like the most fun thing. Yeah. It's amazing.
How is it easier to manage adults than kids, probably?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kids can be a nightmare.
Yeah,
they're great.
They're great, but everybody understands that kids would be more difficult, I think.
Yeah.
What's something that maybe surprised you that was a challenge to do coaching an adult team? That's something maybe you didn't think would be a challenge?
I actually lucked out and had a really easy time coaching the adults this past year. One of them had already been in bands but was trying to get some experience on a new instrument, and she kind of had an idea. She really liked singing, so she had an idea where she wanted the song to go. So really all I had to do was I kind of let them go, write the song. They're good, they got along, and then at the end I was kind of just the one who had to step in and be like, okay, here are some, you guys need to work on some transitions, just some things they probably wouldn't know about not having done a lot of music before. You need to do some transitions. We need to run this section a few times, and then we need to move these amps around so you can hear these things a bit better. And that was pretty much my only function in that.
And then with the kids,
God.
You're working from the ground up, basically.
Yeah.
Here's how you hold a guitar.
Yeah. It's like music teaching and babysitting a little bit at the same time, depending on the age of the kids. And they're really great. I had a great group this year that were like so full of ideas. It was just like one idea after another. You never know if you're going to get a group of kids that's really shy and maybe a little bit hesitant to contribute or what. And this band was just everyone had ideas.
Just personality.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everyone. It was great. They were all wonderful divas. And but yeah, the song, they established to me very early on that this song had to have 2 rap sections, a guitar solo, a keyboard solo, a drum solo, and enough lyrics that the singer didn't feel like she was being upstaged by any of these other things going on. It was nuts.
Yeah. Wow.
But we did it.
Yeah. Did they have a rider too for like backstage?
Oh
like,
man,
they
tried.
We need a meat and cheese tray. We need a fruit plate. Yeah.
I tried to draw the line a few times.
Okay, guys. I'm not removing the brown M&Ms. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. What was the team like you had? This was the second one with the kids you did this last time, right?
Yeah.
So did you found like just because the mix of personalities with these kids that it was a little easier?
It was a little harder.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, just because they were a younger group. These kids are like 10, 11 years old. It's amazing what they're doing. And they're starting off learning their instrument on Monday, and expected to perform on Saturday. So it's amazing what 10 and 11-year-olds can do. But yeah, this band was really young, and there are 5 of them, lots of energy and lots of ideas. So it was a bit more challenging to keep everything running smoothly. The year before, I had a slightly older group and a little bit more laid back.
Right.
Yeah, and they ended up coming up with a great song too. You have, it's interesting just having different things to work with each year. Like that year, I had a really competent piano player who wanted to do beautiful piano fills.
Oh, nice.
And everything. We ended up with kind of this proggy pop ballad. It was really cool. And then, this year they liked hip hop and wanted to have raps in their song.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you start with when you get your group of kids together? Like, how do you break the ice? How do you make them comfortable when you're not only making kids comfortable with each other, which can be tough, but you're also teaching them an instrument. What do you do when you get that group in there?
I guess the first thing I do, and I know all the coaches probably do different things, I think we chatted for maybe 5 minutes. Like, hey, what's your name? What's your favorite kind of music? What kind of song do you think we want to write? But very soon into the process, as soon as I can, I get them jamming on like a 1-chord jam, because that's probably like, I feel like that would be the scariest thing for me, going in and being like, how am I supposed to write a song with these people? I don't even know how to play this instrument.
Yeah.
How am I going to play something that sounds good with someone else? So pretty much as soon as possible, I show them how easy that's going to be.
Yeah.
And it actually is quite easy.
When did you start playing music yourself?
I started playing music when I was 3 or 4, and my mom got me group glockenspiel lessons.
Oh, really?
In Brandon.
Wow.
Yeah, there were probably, I don't remember it very well.
What a cacophony that must be. Eh? That's a definite drop the kids off, go somewhere else for an hour kind of activity for parents.
Yeah, I can't remember how many of us there were. Probably like 3 or 4 kids. Ooh. And my teacher, who was later my piano teacher, she would write all the songs herself, and they were pretty much all a set of 3 notes twice.
Okay.
So there would be a song called Blackbirds, and it would be like da 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 da, and there would be a song called Mice, and it would be like da 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 da.
So kind of based on Three Blind Mice.
Yeah. And there would be a song called Frogs, and it would be like da 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 da. And that was glockenspiel lessons from what I can recall.
And you still carry those lessons with you to this day.
Probably a lot more to it, but I've forgotten much from those years.
So you've always been like kind of a creative person. You're a creative enough kid.
Yeah, I
with
think
the glockenspiel lessons. Something you do that I never knew you did until we were talking about it this past winter. You introduced me to a website called, I think, is it Wattpad? That's it, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with people knowing this side of me.
Really? I can say we don't have to get into any specifics.
Okay.
But let's just say you introduced me to a site called Wattpad where anybody can write like a novel, basically. It's just one of those sites, and you can like put it into chapters and all that kind of stuff. And you were like, it was interesting. I was like, okay, I never knew, whatever about that kind of world. But then you kind of showed me there's like a lot of real like recurring themes, like very popular themes that a lot of people write about.
Yeah.
And it was a real peek in.
Yeah, I had such a phase this past year of just being fascinated by what people who don't really know how to write want to write about.
Yeah. Well, that's like
so
how
neat.
Wasn't that how like I think 50 Shades of Grey started, because
Oh, yeah,
I remember the author
fanfic.
was like yeah, she's like, oh, I read Twilight, and I'm like, I could do that. And then that's how they began the 50 Shades of Grey thing, and you kind of see that on Wattpad as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of people have these almost little communities. Like there's a huge, people really want to read about werewolves, it turns out. There's like a huge community of people who read and write werewolf stories on the internet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm used to reading, books by established authors, so I didn't read it thinking like, oh, this is amazing. Most of it was, people just learning how to write, but I did read it like, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, this is what people want.
Yeah.
Or at least these people.
If people could dictate what they want, it would be that. Or do you feel like they're even looking for a well-written version of the thing they're writing, or do you think
I don't
it's
think they
just
care.
like no, they just want to
want
read
those
about
stories,
that
yeah.
subject. Yeah, werewolves was like a big subject.
Mm-hmm. And young adult romance is really big on that particular site, which is
Yeah.
also interesting, a little bit disturbing, like to see what themes within young adult romance are like the most.
Yeah,
The
what
most
were they?
common.
It was like
It was mostly like.
there was a lot of like. What was the thing? It was
Like,
just like
she's
the
a nice
bad
girl
boy.
who loves to read.
Yeah.
Sophomore in high school or whatever. And he's on the football team and sleeps with all the girls. And he's out of control. And they get together, and it turns out he's like a controlling dick. And that's the story as far as...
like it doesn't. It's not like she's the one. It's not the classic romantic comedy thing where it's like she's the one to calm this guy down, rein this guy in, and be the thing.
I think she is. Yeah, I think
but
that's
does
part
it-
of it. But I don't know. He's still just like I think he stays kind of a controlling
Right.
asshole. It's just like he's hers. I don't know. I haven't gotten to the end
So
of
it
any of
doesn't
these.
resolve.
It's just, I
Yeah.
haven't
Oh,
read a lot of
really? You didn't want to
synopses.
find out how it ends?
There's a lot of chapters to these things,
Yeah.
because the other thing about serial fiction on the internet is you can just keep going, and many of them do.
Yeah. There was one I was looking at, one of the werewolf ones, and you could see though by like the chapter titles pretty much what was going on in the thing. So a lot of times it like, if you're like, I can skim this, you can sort of see like there'll just be there'd be a title called like just like I'm trying to just like tied up or something, and you're like, oh, they must get tied up at some point, and then like you'd click at it and you'd look and like scan a couple of paragraphs, you're like, oh, he's just tied
Sure
up.
enough.
Yeah. The basement. You know, they're in a basement in this one, and they're like breaking free, and like, oh, okay. Really, it's just like the bullet points of the story, and you're like, okay, nice. The only one you have to click on is maybe if there's one called like a conversation, and you're like, okay, I need to know what the conversation is about at least.
Yeah, I almost kind of wonder if these like amateur writing things are like a more raw version of people's weird fantasies that in like a more a book by a more established writer most would get filtered out. It's like literature, right? But this is just like the unfiltered version of the weird shit that goes on in people's heads.
Like everything I saw, I looked through like a number of stories, and everything I saw, there was no even hint of subtext. Like everything is just like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. This guy's wearing dark clothes and he's a bad guy. This person is whatever, wearing lighter clothes and they're a good guy. This person talks like this. Like there was nothing left to your imagination other than maybe what people looked like, kind of. But even then, they seemed pretty concerned with people's looks and stuff too. So werewolves was the one. Kidnapping was the other one. That's what I was trying to think of. There were tons of kidnapping stories.
Yeah, and a lot of crossover between the werewolf and the kidnapping.
Oh, really? It's usually a theme in one or the other.
Yeah, a lot of kidnapping stories. Yeah.
Are there any other weird corners of the internet you've ended up on recently?
No. Honestly, I'm not a big internet person, which is weird because everyone our age is an internet person.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't really know my way around the internet very well.
You don't end up down like a YouTube rabbit hole or some terrible message board?
No, I'm scared of those. I think one time I looked up where the MRAs were hiding because I was curious and I wanted to know my enemy. And I got so depressed that I was like, I don't want to be on the internet anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's enough.
Yeah, it's a bummer if you find that stuff. There's a lot of political podcasts and talk shows and stuff I like to listen to, and every now and then they'll mention this horrible new thing, this horrible new movement or group that started that I never heard of, and I don't know why, but I will be fascinated enough to look at it, and then that's how you find oh, okay, MRAs, that's a thing.
You kind of want to know. Once you hear about it, you want to know okay, what are these people about? If I ever have to argue with one of my friends over whether this is a good thing or not, maybe I should know a couple of their platforms or whatever their ideas are, and so I know how to defend myself, or maybe I'm just misunderstanding the whole movement. Yeah,
sometimes it can just be an okay thing.
Yeah.
I remember when I found this one went back and forth, but I remember when I found out about bronies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that sounds weird. My first reaction, and maybe this isn't the greatest, I was like, that's weird, weirdos. And I was like, maybe I'm misunderstanding it. And so then I read a little more about it, and I'm like, oh, that's fine, right? It's fine. And I even had a friend of mine who he started watching a bit of it, and he was like, oh, I get it. It's really nice and positive, and it's just you just put it on and it's a happy thing to have. And I was like, okay, never mind then. So I was first I was weirdos.
Yeah.
And then I was never mind, fine. Any community is going to have people get too much into it. And then I read more about it and it did get worse.
Oh, really? I think I watched the documentary about them. But
yeah, the documentary is okay. They come off fine in that. There's like anything, I guess, there's a super dark corner of it. And I found I don't go on Reddit anymore, but for a while I was gotta go on Reddit and see what people are talking about. And I'm trying to not describe this at all, but maybe the darkest thing I've ever seen in my life was in this weird corner of if you go to any of the cringe threads on Reddit, there was someone posted about a particular brony post.
Oh, okay.
In one of the cringe threads, and it was okay, never mind. This is I guess maybe that's the unhealthiest place to look at on the internet is cringe stuff, because it's just you just see people at their unintentional worst.
Yeah, in that documentary I couldn't find anything to really fault them with, but I just had an instinct there's something wrong there.
It's a red flag. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see where it would go, maybe.
Which also, you were telling me recently, speaking of people collecting things, about when you're working at Hallmark.
Yeah.
And the figurines that people would
Oh yeah.
go after. What were those called again? The
Precious Moments, I think, were a big one, and what were these? Something angels. I don't know. They're like these wooden angel figurines.
You're gonna look it up so you can kind of
totally
remember.
blanking on.
Hallmark Precious Moments is these angels.
Yeah, those are a big one, but there's also these wooden carved angels that are like a huge. Yeah, I'm sorry, I
Is
can't
it Willow
remember.
Tree? Is it those?
Yes,
ones?
Willow
okay,
Tree.
Willow Tree.
Yeah, Willow Tree angels.
These have no faces.
Yeah,
They're just the idea of an
creepy.
angel. Yeah.
They're weird and they all look pretty much the same, but there's like 50 different versions of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, about half of my job at HMB was to go through the storage underneath the card racks, like on my stomach, like rummaging around, looking for a certain like Hope Angel, which looks,
Okay.
just like Glory Angel
Well,
and
what
Faith Angel.
What I'm looking at right here, I'm gonna actually add a screenshot of this to the episode or something. Is like, yeah, this one is called Willow Tree Thank You Angel, and it's just holding like a little circle that says thank you.
Yeah.
Is that the difference between them? Is the Hope one just holding a little circle that says hope?
Some of them are like just praying. Yeah, I think they hold. It's probably holding like a dove or something.
Okay.
I hate that I
Like
remember
a peace
that.
one. It's in there. You can't get that in there now.
So many years ago.
And now we've
yeah.
brought it back to the surface, and you're going to think about it a few more times before it recedes.
I know.
It's just
My
gonna come through
nightmares,
there.
those faceless angels just crowd around me.
And every time you turn around and turn back, they're a little bit closer.
Yeah, I'd have to find them. We had so many, and people wanted they wanted a specific one, whatever the newest one that'd come out. You knew they had like 50 other ones.
Right.
And they wanted like 2 so their daughter could have one too. And
their
and
poor
they were-
daughter is just at home with like all these doubles of ages.
Yeah.
Oh.
maybe she can make a fortune off them later.
I get. Well, though, are they collectibles? Are they truly like limited edition collectibles? If every mother is buying 2 of them.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, different world. And yeah, they're never that nice, those people who want those.
Oh, really?
Because they just want them so bad. They're like, if you're not, you're taking a long time to get them their thing that they came here specifically to get, that they've been waiting for and looking at the catalog. And I don't know their story, but they're not never that polite.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a calm down angel instead.
Yeah.
Settle down, take it easy.
Have you seen the new Chill the F Out Angel in the catalog?
Chill out, angel. It's holding a coffee in one hand, and it is legit flipping you off on the other hand. Take it easy. What do you think? Is it time to write a song?
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, we already wrote the song.
Yay!
So, right, I forgot.
It's done.
It's time to listen to the song that we wrote. Enjoy. So here's what we have so far. We didn't start recording immediately. For the listener. What even chords are those?
It's like C, F, D minor. Man, I don't think I've ever written not on the guitar. It's like
There you go. You're out of your elements.
yeah, it's a good challenge. That's nice.
Yeah, and then within that one, there's like
Very
these
sure.
6.
Oh.
Or these 8. So what are you saying about? It's about imaginary friends?
Yeah. Trying to think of my imaginary friends.
You
When
have
I was a
imaginary
kid.
friends? Yeah.
I did have imaginary friends, yeah. When I was really little, I had an imaginary friend called Papa. But she wasn't very nice, and I wasn't very nice to her.
So this is a toxic imaginary
Oh
relationship.
yeah, it was totally dysfunctional. But like, I think I was a pretty nice little kid. I think I was pretty nice to my parents and my brother. So it's like maybe you just need to whatever's left, you gotta channel it into something that doesn't hurt anybody.
That's how about as healthy as it gets.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, she was really bratty and bossy, and I just put her down all the time.
Maybe somewhere if there can be a line where we kind of talk about like using the line like making up, but also I'm making you up.
Oh yeah. I knew it wouldn't. I'm sorry if I did you wrong. We had our own world. I feel like the character in some ways wants to make up with her imaginary friend. And
Okay.
and I like that line about making up, but also like
Right. How can we
there's
make up
something
when
she wants to keep of this, or like to fix within herself or between this.
Yeah.
Made up person. I once had a friend. We didn't get along. I knew it would end. I'm sorry if I did you wrong. We had our own world. What we had was rare. We had our little inside jokes. Though you were imaginary, I'm sorry you were temporary. I won't be seeing you again. I've got a couple of new friends. But if you've got time to lend, I know you're made up, but can we make up before the story ends? Young friend, I tried to hold you back. I couldn't see you needed to grow. I'm never far away. Remember that when you go, I'm sorry too. I know that we are through. You couldn't make me real, but at least you made me real to you. Remember your reality and always let a few dreams through. You'll be seeing me again. Not like any of your friends. And if you've got the time to lend, I know I'm made up, but we can make up. The story never ends. I'll be seeing you again. 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 I'll be seeing you again.
Imaginary Friend, that's Ava Glendinning. There is a tinge of sadness in that song. that I think you can, it cuts through the happy sounding chords. That idea of growing out of having an imaginary friend, but also knowing you could go back to it. Realizing you can always pretend, but also you can't. You grew up, so you can't go do that. I never had an imaginary friend growing up. I didn't have a lot of real friends growing up either. I did have a lot of elaborate storylines involving my toys. I put my G.I. Joe figures through the ringer. They had a rough go of it. I had some emotional storylines happening. You can check out Ava's many projects all over the internet, social media. You can find it. Bicycle Face is, I'll say, that the main way to get to know her as an artist. She's also in A La Mode, RoboJam, The Lockdown, and my band, Great Wealth, which, if you're in the area and you hear this in time, we're playing a show on November 30th at 4th here in Winnipeg. Great Wealth is opening for RoboJam. So Ava's doing double duty on that show. Again, as happens with a lot of musicians in a local music scene. Thanks for being here for episode 8. We have only 2 left in this season. I am planning out next season right now as best as can be planned out, because you should be open to possibilities. As we saw this week, sometimes things just happen and it turns out great. Follow the show on Instagram. Hey, Let's Write a Song is our Instagram handle. On Twitter, we are Write a Song Pod. If you Google Let's Write a Song Podcast, you can find us. I think that should find you everything. We're on YouTube as well. If you know someone you like to share the show with and they're not a podcast person, they don't want to deal with another app on their phone, I understand. I put every episode up on YouTube. You can go find them there. If you have iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I think it is now, give the show a rating if you want. I'm told that helps. And honestly, I just like looking at it. I checked in for the first time last week and there's like 2 ratings already, which I don't know who it was. Thank you if that was you. We're back here next week with another guest and more original music made right here in my West Broadway apartment. Next time on Let's Write a Song.